Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannine Shao Collins. I'm the Chief Client Officer at Kargo. At Kargo, we like to talk about that we put the art in ad tech, and we like to help clients do great things. And I get to be talking to my longtime friend, Melissa Gordon-Ring, who I've known for a very long time, probably longer than I want to admit. Melissa, can you introduce yourself and your job and, and what you're doing in the health, what you've done in the health arena?
Sure. I am Melissa Gordon-Ring. I'm the Global President of Health at Initiative. It's such a special and unique, place to work and landscape to work that it's ever changing, and I'm always learning. And I say this all the time in my current role, because what I do is try to bring all the different health businesses that we have together, try to help drive a vision, but best practices, and listen and learn and share with clients, how we think that they can, better deliver on their goals, but how they face the new challenges that we're dealing with in this current world. But I always say that if we do our job well, we actually get to make people feel in control of something that they don't have control over. Whether it's knowing that they have an option, trying something different, being aware of something for their parent or their spouse or someone else. But in that knowledge, there's power. And when it comes to health, we're usually talking about things that people are experiencing that are impacting them in not a positive way, but there is a lot of positive things in health that we also get to focus on too.
And honestly, nothing's really more important, because if you don't have your health, nothing else really matters, right? So you get to be in an industry that really impacts people in the way that it matters most to their lives.
It's true. And I think, when you get to see that spark of someone who's working in healthcare, either for the first time, and they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that this was going to actually make me feel good about what I'm doing. And obviously work is work, but when it comes down to it, when we get the chance to figure out, a new way to connect to someone in a compliant and safe way, but in a way that actually is meaningful, then there's something that makes you feel good about what we do.
Well, we should feel good about what we do.
100%.
So, you've had a lot of roles and positions over your career, and I'm sure we've known each other, but I know your career has not been linear, that you've had a lot of, this, as we all have. Can you talk a little bit about your journey and how you began, some bumps, some highs, some lows, all that good stuff?
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because it is all a journey, right? And every single one of us has a unique one, and no one's path is going to be the same as someone else. I laugh because I actually started when I graduated college. I worked in the World Trade Center.
Really?
Mm-hmm. For a year, and I worked at an intrabank brokerage house on the 84th floor, and I had double majored in politics and economics, and I was miserable. To say that I was miserable, I would wake up in the morning at 5 a.m, because I still lived in Long Island with my parents, and be like, if I stub my toe, do I have to go into work? So I did that for about a year, and I was like, I can't do this. This is totally not for me. And I went to NYU's Office of Continuing Studies and did interest inventory and Myers-Briggs, all that, that career counseling stuff. And it came back on paper, which I got to show my mom and be like, it says I'm not supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do something that's a little bit more creative and with numbers and all of this. So I went to the library, legit, I went to the library. And because it was when the internet was starting, and I did some research and I figured out this is what I'm going to do. When I started working at Jordan McGrath Case and Partners, which is where my first job was.
Where we met.
Right, which is great. Jordan McGrath was a great place. And I was meeting all these people who got into the business because of all these different reasons. I was like, no, I'm supposed to, this paper told me, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I've kind of held that close because it is a bit of a balance between art and science. And I love numbers. I said, numbers don't lie, but you get to do things like be creative and strategic and use your brain in different ways. And I worked on all different types of healthcare products from, in and out the majority of my career. I've worked in beauty. I've worked in food. Beauty made me rethink everything and leave and actually go into strategic planning for a year and a half. So when you go about these bumps and peaks and valleys, it wasn't a valley. It was just that I needed to feel smart again. which was great because I did that for about a year and a half, and I realized I don't want to do strategic planning. I'm back, I like leading a business and working with clients. And I've worked in all different types of capacities and led large businesses and multiple businesses at the same time. And I feel like every experience brings you a little bit further. You try to learn a little bit of something from that last experience, whether the good or the bad, when you're swimming through the poop, right? Like I feel like I can give instructional swim on some of the poop swimming. A little flutter your feet a little more, but the reality is that you have to take with you, the good and the bad on that journey. And when I was looking for a new role, this one was so unique and special because it's a brand new role, which, by the way, are the hardest roles because you have to define it yourself. And then you're dealing with, is this the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? I don't know. So you just have to, be who you are. And I actually have a quote that I love. It's actually at the top of my resume. It's an Oscar Wilde quote. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. So much easier. I have it hanging in my office. Like,
I love that too.
Just so much easier.
I love that too. And tell the truth because you never have to remember what.
Right. Be yourself. I don't have to be someone else. It's just so much easier to be me. And I guess that comes a little bit with maturity. But it's just, you bring with you what you've learned, but you have to take yourself along the way and the person you've become.
So in your journey, can you talk about what was your best moment? Like, is there a best moment of your career?
Whoa. There's when you get to celebrate, there's nothing like it. And I even wrote this down during today's discussions, and that we don't often celebrate enough.
Right. I agree with that.
And we need to be purposeful about it when there is a big celebration or you win or retain a piece of business and you go and you get an ear piercing with your friends because you think it's the right thing to do. Legit. Totally legit. But in that celebration, when you can actually look back and say, wow, this was really tough, but we accomplished something together. Some of my other proudest moments, though, are seeing people succeed in roles that they didn't think that they could do. One of the things that I enjoy most is being a leader and trying to lead through example. And when you see someone who sees their potential, we have town halls, and sometimes the tech is terrible, but we have town halls, and someone came up to me 2 weeks ago after we had a town hall, and I'm sitting in the pit, and she was a junior person. And I said to her afterwards, it was very brave of her to stop me and say, I'm a manager. And she's like, you were just amazing. She's like, you were funny and you were smart and you were passionate about what you were talking about. She's like, that's the kind of leader I want to be. And I was like, wow, you have no idea how great it is. And then I love that she stopped at that moment. I was like, that's really brave to stop me coming out of the ladies' room. I'm like, but you made my day. I was like, that's amazing. I'm like, you're already on your way there. I was like, just being able to take that action. So
I love that. I had the opposite. I had someone say to me, you're not making it look fun or easy.
Oh.
Because I sent an email. I made a mistake. I sent an email at 2:00 in the morning. And I realized that mattered.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to just get it off my plate for myself. And then I realized that young woman was like, is this what it takes to succeed? I just happen to be an insomniac. That has nothing to do with but I now became conscious of the fact that I don't send emails in the middle of the night. I wait till the morning or I hold it because I don't want people to feel like they need to do that as well. So it's funny that you said that. I love that. Okay, let's talk about your lowest moment in this. Was there a time that you worked for someone who wasn't great to you, or that you had a coworker that it's what was
I've done all of that. I've worked with people. I've worked for people. I've worked with clients who can be challenging. Some clients are very good friends, but not everyone's going to love you. And I think the reality is
everyone loves you.
But they don't, Jeannine. It's true. I swear. I can name 3. No, I'm just kidding. But I think, and those are tough, especially when you're
used to being like.
when you're used to being liked and then you go into the whole spot, why don't they like me? What did I do? Why, could I have done something different? And those are tough, but I think it also builds resilience, right?
Resilience.
And then someone's like, I will make them like me, like that. It builds resolve, and then you make a plan coming out of it. But everyone's going to have lows. Like, that's the reality of it. And someone's going to make a mistake, and you're the throat to choke.
Learning moments.
Right, they are learning moments. And that's, I think we try to get the most out of each of those situations, but sometimes they're bad. And that's okay to acknowledge that they're bad, but they're not permanent, right? They're not permanent. Right. I say to my daughter, who's 5.5, I was talking about this before, I try to teach her, every day we say, we are brave and we are strong and we can solve our own problems. Like, it's okay to, but I was like, but then I'm telling her she can't ask for help. I'm like, no, I'm going to reframe this. It's okay. And then I say, it's okay to ask for help, but you have to try on your own first. So, and I came up with this. I was like, teachable moment. She was riding her bicycle and there was like a little hill and she was like, Mommy, I need your help. And I was like, no, she's a big girl. She could totally do this. And I said this, I was like, you are brave and you are strong and you can solve your own problem. How would you do this if Mommy wasn't here? She's like, well, I would get off the bicycle and then I'd move the bicycle and then I'd get back on. I was like, you did it. So I secretly did one of those Love Actually moments where she likes, he likes her and they're going to kiss or whatever. She goes, yeah. I had that moment as a parent, but it's nice to have those moments too at work when you empower someone and say, it's okay that it didn't go well. Or, we've all been there, right? Or we've been through challenging situations and things that just didn't go your way, but it's not the number of times you fall down. It's the number of times you get back up.
Love that. That's totally true. So let's talk, since we're among friends here, all in the healthcare industry, let's talk about the healthcare industry. Tell me about what you see as challenges right now for the healthcare industry and what we in our positions need to do to address that.
So I think it's so interesting when you think about the number of agencies there are in the healthcare space. There's over 300 specific agencies that work.
Really?
Yeah, there are, because I've been doing research. But it's a reality. I mean, they're literally MMM publishes the top 100 agencies in healthcare. And so to publish the top 100, I was like, how many are there actually out there? And it's over 300. I think what's special and unique and allows for that type of landscape to even be profitable and successful is that we have to be more strategic and more thoughtful and more innovative than so many other types of products. For us in this space,
because there's so many more restrictions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For us in this space to get something done, we have to be almost like detectives. How can I figure this out? And through that, you can make even the tiniest change, and it makes a huge difference. So I always like to hire people too who've not worked in health before, because that light goes off and they're like, ooh, once they really kind of experience the beauty of what we do. And I'm like, it's easy to buy a football sponsorship for a beverage brand, let's just say, or it's easy to do something for a food company. It's something simpler, paper towels, whatever. They're all great products. But nonetheless, for us to do something, it has to really be meaningful in a way that is not just sharing a quick message, but allowing people to have access to more information.
There's a different responsibility.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I think we as partners and marketers, we can't take that lightly, because there is a heaviness about it. But then the successes are so much sweeter too when we can actually do something and pave a new way, right?
Well, so sticking with, it's such a complicated industry. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about this earlier. There's so many great things about it, but there's a lot of things that have to be addressed. What do you think it takes to be a successful executive in marketing and advertising in the healthcare industry?
Fearless, which is really tough in a place that has a lot of fear. You have to be willing to make people a little bit uncomfortable. And I say that in a positive way. Like, I'm going to tell you what I think you should do, even though you may not want to do it or you may not like it, but it's going to make a difference. And that doesn't always go the way that you want it to, but you may have opened up someone's eyes to something that they didn't even know existed. I think we talked about being positive leaders and optimists. I think that makes a difference too, because there is a lot of people who are out there who are different. And when you can bring positive energy with you, I think that that's an incredible
I think
gift.
Positivity breeds more positivity.
100%.
It's like, and whatever your mojo is, like it's what you put out is what you get back. That's one of my philosophies. So you're very positive. You've always been.
I try. And even having got we as humans can go through things in life that are challenging and unexpected and can, that literally hit you in the gut and you don't think that you're going to be able to get up, but you do. And you keep moving, and it's that strength that we show that shows people that they can be stronger too. But coming back to that energy piece, I totally believe in energy. And when you have positive energy, people want to work with you.
100%.
Right? They want to be a part of what you're doing.
So have you had mentors in your career who have, like, for you, it's like, oh, this is my North Star?
It's funny. I've had people that I've worked with in the past, some of which that I am like, wow, I'm blown away at what they're able to do. And some of which are like, wow, I totally don't want to do any of that. And then, right? And it matters because it's through that awareness, you actually get to acknowledge like, wow, I'm very conscious of not acting this way. And in other ways, like, yes, I want to do exactly what this person is doing. And they are supportive. And, someone that I worked with in the past kind of 5 years was an incredible leader who was like, how can I help lift you up? What do you need? Where, and you work with other leaders who can be micromanagers, which can be a bit more challenging too, especially when you've kind of worked in an environment where you're like, I feel confident in my abilities, and they make you question that you have to learn from, right? You're like, I'm here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. I think that's powerful, and just acknowledging that. I say that all the time because I think, it's different perspectives and diversity of thought, and everyone does have different energies, but you have to embrace it all as best as you can.
That's true. Embracing it all, because you have to understand that people are different, and everybody should be able to exist.
Yep.
Sometimes that's hard, and sometimes I've worked in places where they don't want to see a different point of view. And that's also very hard. So now, relative to mentorship, leadership, particularly for women, like, what advice would you give your daughter or someone starting out in the industry or whatever? It's like, to have a successful career. What advice would you give young people?
Listen to your spidey sense. I think we don't listen to that often enough. So
I've always gotten myself in trouble when I don't listen to my...
Right. Like, if you've ever had a moment where you look back and you say to yourself, God, I wish I listened to my thoughts. It's more, or like, I'm so glad I listened to it. It's more often like, God, I wish I did. Oh, I wish I listened to that thought in the back of my head, that spidey sense that made me feel like, it seems too good to be true, but I'm going to try it. And then it's not. So believing in your own intuition, I think, is something that and we as women can be challenged to do as well, but we have to do that a little bit more, I think, and we'll be happier and more confident because of it.
So okay. As far as, like, look, you have a busy life. President, family, this. How do you stay on top of industry trends, what's going on in the marketplace, and managing all these people? How do you stay on top of it all?
I don't. I'm
I love your honesty.
No, it's true. And it's funny, you listen to enough leaders, the reality is that no one says they can do all of it. You do the best that you can. And you have to be kind to yourself about all of it. Like, you're going to miss some things, but I feel like if it's important enough, it's going to find me. And that's what happens. So I stay up to date. Like there's a few, trades and things that I read every day, and I set up my alerts, and I try to give myself like 10 minutes every morning to just catch up on certain things. But you have to be present as much as you can for each of those things, because when you're not, it's palpable. And I try to be a leader as much as I can. Do I get to be with the teams and my clients as much as I'd like to? No, it's just not enough time. My family, I mean, I went to a conference 2 weeks ago, and my daughter told me that we're not a family when I'm not here. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, I'm being so good. I'm leaving at 8:30 at night. She's going to bed. My conference is in the morning. And I was like, oh my God. And then she's like hanging out the door going, you killed snuggle time. I'm like, oh. So you do the best that you can. And I'm like, she's little. She's not going to remember that. She's resilient. And then I extra snuggle with her. And I, do all the other things to balance.
That's good. I love, just accepting that you can't do it all, right?
Yeah, because it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure because you're never going to succeed. It's just not possible in today's day and age of being accessible at every minute, all the time, and COVID proliferated that with accessibility and the lack of boundaries and all of that. So the expectations are there for us to be, available 24 hours a day, but we can't. It's not sustainable.
So you've been president how long now?
13 and a half months.
Okay. So for you,
I'm counting it like as babies.
Like, was it what you expected?
No.
And why?
Different. Very different. Like I said, coming into a new role, there's a lot of things that you want to be able to achieve. I'm proud of a lot of what I've been able to accomplish and the connections and the bridges that I have built. But there's still, I see the opportunity and I see what the future could be. There's just so much to have to manage at the same time.
So what does success look like for you, both at 1 year out and let's say 5 years out? What does success look like?
In this role or life?
In life. However you want to look.
No, and I want people to want to work on health. I want people to be excited and give themselves a little bit of swagger, that work on something that is a growing business, an interesting business. And like I said, if we do something right, we get to actually make an impact on people's lives. But I want people to be happier. I think that's a huge goal. But if I can have a positive impact and be inspiring in any way, that's the impact that I want to have. That's the memory that I want to instill and the legacy, right? That I want to have is that I want to empower people to be positive, to take on a challenge and be excited about what we're doing, but understand that it's okay to fail. And those are big things. That's probably like the 5-year thing. And I enjoy working with teams and clients and really understanding like what's important. How do we, figure that out together and be a good listener. So I said personally that I want to make more meaningful impact for more people. That's like my own vision. Like I want to make more meaningful impact for more people. Some days I feel like I'm doing a great job. Some days I don't, but I try to hold true to that as much as I can. So
that's great. So now the industry is changing so much with AI, more emphasis on data and analytics. How do you reconcile all that in your job?
It's so interesting because we talk a lot about what that means. What does AI mean? I mean, I have a conversation about AI every day and cookieless futures and all that. We can't forget who the patients are, or we can't forget who these physicians are. We have to remember there's real people there. So even like with the cookieless future, like, do people even understand what they're clicking when they say you can, I'm giving you the access? Like, do they even understand? I think we have to be as focused as possible and lean into the fact that while personalization is scary in healthcare, how can we do it in a way that's safe and compliant? And AI will help us all, right? Like AI will make a difference. We just have to figure out the right way to do it that balances the humanity of it.
So do you think it's going to take jobs, or do you think it's going to create jobs, or what do you think it's going to do?
It's probably going to do both, but probably balance things in the middle. Yeah, I think it'll totally take jobs. Everyone's instituting like their own company-wide AI or, chat GBT type of platform, right? All of the big tech companies have that. It's funny, I was at my stepdaughter's senior year college weekend this past weekend at Ohio State, Buckeyes. And her friend in her dorm was like, I have to write this paper, but I'm going to just chat GBT it. And then there's my other stepdaughter is at another university, and she was saying that university is putting in place all of these guardrails around ChatGPT and being able to track it. So that's why I think there's going to be a balance, because some people are going to lean way too far into it. I mean, there's a lot of great, what kind of question should I ask at an interview? Like that's the one that I hear the most of people talking about it. How can I write an intro to this presentation? Something will help you, but not hurt you, right? Because I think it's that balance.
Like anything else, we have to see how it evolves. But the internet created jobs, took away jobs. It's just part of the evolution of the economy, right? So, I know we've asked a lot of questions about your career and what you hope for, the people who work for you and all that. Relative to healthcare, how do you think healthcare as an industry can do a better job?
That's a big question, Jeannine.
It is. I mean, we talked about some of it. I mean,
No, it's true. I mean, I think doing a better job, and a lot of pharma companies always say that they're patient first, but are they really patient first? I work with a new pharma company that has a day that's patients focused, where you listen to the patients, and it's like, this is incredible. You actually get to hear from these patients. I think it's really coming back to the reason that these products and services were created in the first place, and trying to ground yourself in that as often as possible, because that piece can get lost. But also be excited about working in healthcare. How do we continue to foster that level of excitement of what's coming, right? What's new?
Really, the most
what's different?
Innovative, because
you're
God, saving people's life.
And there's
the vaccine saved mankind, right?
It's true. And look at the oncology business, oncology drug, it's incredible to think about how fast certain things are moving. That's exciting to me, to know that that things will be different and the future will be different, and drugs will come and drugs will go, but there will always be a lifeline to the future in terms of how we can help people feel better.
I like the patient first. And that's essentially what you're trying to do. You're trying to empower patients to be more informed, right?
It's true. I mean, that's the best we can do. It's the simplest job, because if we talk about, you want someone to make a real behavior change, it starts with a choice of, hey, I am interested in advocating for myself, but you got to make the doctor's appointment, go to the doctor's appointment, request the information. There's so many different steps in that journey, but all it takes is one sometimes. So
that's great. Well, Melissa, you're the best. I'm a huge, huge girl fan of yours, both personally and professionally. For all the women who are, I'm going to end on this, for all the women out there who want it all, right? Who we all want it all. We want great jobs. We want great families. We want to travel. Want to be able to take care of ourselves. Outside of be yourself, what other piece of advice would you say?
There's a speaker at Cayo Ranch, which is my favorite place. It's my Disney World, where I go to reset and spend time. It's a gift that I give myself when I can do it. And I
think we should go.
We should totally go.
Yeah.
And you get to, there's a spa, but it's not, because it's more about spirituality and understanding, and classes on all these different things. But there's a speaker there, and his name is Jerry Posner. You can follow him on Instagram. Jerry Posner, and he's the most adorable man. He plays a ukulele, and he talks about these different life lessons, and he'll be like, oh, and I have a card for this. So he actually has legit little business cards, and they have little sayings on them. And there's one card, and I have it hanging, and I've taken pictures of it and sent it a zillion times, and it says, stop, pause, breathe, evaluate. We don't do that enough.
Wait, say this again.
Stop, pause, breathe, evaluate.
I definitely don't do that as much as I should.
Right. And even just the action of doing that, like you stop. Okay. Well, you realize you have to stop, pause. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be in this moment, take a breath, and then evaluate. What am I going to do? Am I going to do nothing? Or am I going to cry? Am I going to this? Am I going to stand back up? Or I'm not? It's okay. But you give yourself that cadence and that space to do it. It's so simple.
That is, but that is really good advice because I definitely don't stop enough as much as I should. And I always say to my daughter, I say, you need to make a decision with a clear head. So that allows you to have a clear head. You just can't. Reacting right away isn't always the right thing.
It's true. It takes like 10 seconds to do it, but then I just practice it.
I think we should all make ourselves little cards for that. That's great. Well, you are the best. I feel a lot smarter having spoken with you, and I think the healthcare industry is better with you and all of us in it.
Thank you.